Attention, please. My name is Bob Standard. I'm a lobbyist, and I've been representing your interests for the last few years in Montpelier. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here at this podium for the duration of the festivities here today. And I'd like to introduce to you, how about the house music? Can we kill the house music? There we go. That's better. How about that? Thank you. Standing right behind me is a band right here from this area known as Fennibal. I did just a little bit of research, and Fennibal stands for a happy day. Born on a happy day. Well, let me tell you what. We're right now in the middle of one great big happy day. Put your hands together for Fennibal, would you please?
Thank you. if you can. Woman says of me, here comes Rasta Man. Abracadabra, catch me if you can. Stepping out, stepping out, stepping out, stepping
Good afternoon, brother bro. How you all doing out there? Let me hear you say yeah, yeah. Let me hear you say yeah, yeah. All right. This next song is about water. Water is a very, 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 very important resource to all of us. It's the legacy that we leave for the future generations. So we don't want to take water forever for granted, ever. This song is called Water No Get Enemy, which in regular English means water doesn't have any enemies at all. So help us to celebrate the gift of pure water. want to wash, what are you use? So bad face, omi lo ma lo. If you want cook soup, what are you use? Torí bangbo náà, omi lẹ́rọ̀ rẹ̀ o. If your head dey hot, what are you full am? Ọmọ ń dán tàgbà, omi náà ma lọ o. If your child dey grow, what are you use? Coming back from home, omi náà ma lọ o. If water kill your child, what are you use? Kò sẹ́hun tó lè ṣe kó má lómi o, nothing without water. Kò sẹ́hun tó lè ṣe kó má lómi o, omi ò lọ ta o. Omi ò lọ ta o. I say water no get enemy. If you fight them unless you wan die. I say water no get enemy. If you fight them unless you wan die. Omi ò lọ ta o. Talk of black man power. They talk of black power, I say. And they talk of no nukes, I say. I say, water don't get enemy. If you fight them unless you want die. Omi ò lọ ta o.
Would you kindly put your hands together for Fennebo, please? We were thinking today maybe we'd get 200 or 300 people here, huh? It's a great crowd. My name again is Bob Stannard. I'd like to take a moment to welcome you all here. Hold it.
Oh.
Wait a minute.
Hello, Brattleboro. My name is Will Newcomb. I'm the president of NuCorPAC, Nuclear Corporation's Political Action Committee. Yeah. Hey, it does my heart good to see so many of you here today to usher in a new age of nuclear power, not only in Vermont, but across our nation, to celebrate the relicensing of Vermont Yankee. Yeah. But, you know, not too long ago, when the pundits and even the markets were sounding the death knell of our industry, our good friends at Entergy went out on a brittle limb to buy up any number of Mark I reactors that were, well, to put not too fine a point on it, end of life. But today, we rise. Today we rise out of the ashes, not yet cold, of Fukushima Daiichi, into the headwinds of the fear-mongering little people and their headstrong politicians to say that we can still win. Because even with our faults, corporations are criminals too, my friends. I'm sorry. I mean corporations. Hey, who's this guy? Hey, get this guy off the stage. Ah! Hey, who is this guy? Please, where are the police? Oh, sure, 100th anniversary. The 100th anniversary of the Titanic. Let's let the poor men go down, huh? I'm not going to drop down to the bottom of the Connecticut Rivershed.
Will Newcomb, ladies and gentlemen. God, that man is annoying. I can't believe he's still here. God. All right, where was I? This event would not be happening today if it was not for a large, substantial, and prestigious collection of organizations. And I'd like to take a minute just to read to you who has come together to make this great event happen today. It begins with Citizens Awareness Network, Safe and Green Campaign, VPIRG, Vermont Public Interest Research Group, Nuclear Free Vermont, the Vermont Yankee Decommissioning Alliance, the New England Coalition on Nuclear Pollution, Beyond Nuclear, Greenpeace, the SAGE Alliance, Vermont Citizens Action Network, the Vermont Toxic Action Center, the Enviro Show, the Clamshell Alliance, the Sierra Club, the Nuclear Information and Resource Service, NIRS, the Connecticut River Watershed Council, and last but by no means least, the Vermont Business for Social Responsibility. Thank you all to each and every one of those fine organizations. Man, what a day. I'm not so sure whose idea it was to have me up here, but I'm very grateful to be able to stand in front of this great group of people. Be given the honor to introduce a friend of mine, and she's your friend too. She's the senior senator from Windham County. She's been a member of the Vermont Senate since 2003. She served as a member of the Putney Select Board. She chairs the Powerful Government Operations Committee. And she's here to read a comment from a great friend of ours. She's your senator. She's my friend, Jeanette White.
Thank you. I actually had a really long speech prepared, but Bob told me I couldn't give it. So I just want to say that not only the powers that be in Vermont are behind this retirement, but obviously the powers that be up there too are behind it because of the weather we've been given today. Thank you. So here's a statement from former Governor Madeline Kunin. I share your concern about extending the life of Vermont Yankee nuclear power plant. I agree that the time has come to shut down this aging plant. Your voices are being heard and will make a difference. I can't be with you in person, but I'm with you in spirit. And Madeline Kunin has also written a great editorial on how the decision affects states' rights in more issues than just this. So I think there are copies available here someplace. I hope you'll pick it up and read it. And I thank you for all your support, and let's keep going.
Thank you, Senator. I do have an announcement or two. As you probably are aware by now, there are literature tables and sign-up sheets around the perimeter here. I would encourage you to go visit these tables once or twice, introduce yourself, and get yourself educated as to why they are taking the time out of their day to be here and what it means to you to have them here. In addition, there'll be people circulating the crowd today, and they will be looking for donations to help defray the cost of this event. These things don't come cheaply, as you can imagine. We have a great sound. By the way, a big round of applause for the guys doing the sound here. Thank you. So if you see someone approaching you and they don't look terribly scary or dangerous and they have a basket and they're looking for donations, kindly and generously step forward and give them a couple of bucks. I'd also take this moment to mention that the junior senator from Windham County, Senator Peter Galbraith, could not be here today. He did ask me to share with you that he had previously scheduled a meeting in New York City. He couldn't be here. Now, having said that, we have another wonderful person here. Let me just find her bio. Our next guest, our next speaker, is a woman whose name and accomplishments are familiar to everybody in this area for sure. She was born in Vermont. She was raised in Brattleboro. In 1997, she won the Nobel Peace Prize for her leadership in the international campaign to ban landmines. She is now, among other things, the coordinator of the Nobel Peace Prize Women's Initiative, and she's a longtime anti-nuclear power activist. Join me in welcoming Jody Williams. Really? Well, here. Well, guess what? Surprise.
I don't have my glasses in.
Oh, really?
No.
How about I whisper the words to you?
I just want you to know that I am going to Japan in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to go to Fukushima and learn more about why Vermont Yankee sucks.
That could be a short trip. Well, Jody was, unbeknownst to her, going to read a statement from Congressman Welch, who was unavailable to be here today. But she just said to me, I'm not doing that. I don't have my glasses. I can't read this. So fortunately for you, I have my glasses, and give me this opportunity to read this statement from your lone congressman, Congressman Peter Welch. I regret I cannot be with you all in this extremely important rally. It is crucial that Vermonters, not Entergy Louisiana, determine our energy future. Vermonters want clean and safe energy. The vast wealth of one corporation should not silence the clear and determined voice of Vermont citizens. Entergy Louisiana may have won one skirmish, but Vermonters will prevail as our voices are heard. And I applaud each and every one of you for your courage and your leadership. Keep up the good work. Keep up the good fight. Congressman Peter Welch. Anybody here want to howl? You know, I'm sorry, folks. I'm getting old and my hearing's kind of bad. I think I said, does anybody here want to howl? You just spared me from buying a hearing aid. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, the Coyote Players.
Hey folks, look at y'all here today. You're amazing. You're fantastic. Very inspiring. You deserve a round of applause, you, because you care about your community. You claim your world, and you're demonstrating that by being here today. So give yourself a round of applause. You. You deserve more than that. Come on. And all of the politicians that are here today, the elected officials that we elect to amplify our voice, and they are demonstrating that they are listening. So let's give them some love. Woo! And Entergy, the owners of Vermont Yankee. I think it's time that they clearly understand that we've spoken. We've spoken very clearly. And that we stand our ground, we will, and will continue to roar. So, join me in a full-bodied, bellied roar on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. We got to do it again. 1, 2, 3. Three's a charm. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. We're the Coyote Players. We've got something for you. There's a sign, or there's a line in the song, I Feel Alive. Please join in with your voices and sound with us. Thank you.
She's the last bash, crash, smash, hard luck laughs. She says, lay. I feel alive, I feel alive, I feel alive, I feel alive, I feel alive. twice, it melts through the ice. Sure as it starts, it's gonna stop from the top to the bottom. It's falling apart. When she says, I feel alive, I feel alive, I feel alive, I feel alive, I feel alive. I feel alive, I feel alive, I feel alive, I feel alive, I feel alive. I feel alive, I feel alive, I feel alive, I feel alive, I feel alive. I feel alive, I feel alive, I feel alive, I feel alive, I feel alive.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Coyote Players. Another announcement in the back by the tree. We have some free ice cream. How about that? I'm sorry to say I don't know who donated it, but you can find that out when you work your way back there.
Fast Eddie's.
Who?
Fast Eddie's.
Put your hands together for Fast Eddie's ice cream. The Vermont Public Interest Research Group works on a variety of issues that have a positive impact on our lives each and every day, and they've been doing so for decades. Paul Burns is the executive director of VPIRG. Paul Burns is my friend. Paul is a new dad. Paul, yeah, how about it? Paul Burns is one tough cookie. It has been an honor for me to work side by side with Paul Burns in our fight to close for the Vermont Yankee nuclear power plant. Please put your hands together for Paul Burns.
Bob Standard is one of the best, so I hope he's getting due recognition here. But, you know, Bob Standard, folks. It is fun. It is fun working with Bob, and oftentimes successful. But even if it's not successful, it is fun. And we have a great time working on a range of different issues, but nothing more important than seeking the retirement of Vermont Yankee. Now, I appreciate the introduction, and I've been the executive director of VPIRG for the last decade or so, but VPIRG's actually been around for 40 years. 40 years, just like something else that you could think about. For the 40 years that Vermont Yankee has been operating on the banks of the Connecticut River, generating the most toxic material known to science and leaving every scrap of it right here for us, we have been fighting each one of those years, each one of those days to seek the retirement of Vermont Yankee and to replace it with cleaner, safer, better alternatives. I know that many of you have actually been working on this campaign for decades. I want to salute you. How many of you have been working on the issues related to Vermont Yankee, its closure, safety matters, waste matters for 5 years? Raise your hand. How about for 10 years? Any 20-year veterans here? Yeah. Is it possible that anybody here has been working for 30 years on Vermont Yankee issues? Hey, round of applause. I'm not going to go past that, but I know that there are folks who've probably been here for almost day one working on this issue. And it is not because we've got anything against the employees of Vermont Yankee. They're doing their job, and this isn't about any kind of animus or hostility that we have toward them. But this plant is something, it represents something that is a threat to all of us, to Vermont, to our neighboring states, to the decisions that we have made about how we want to live our lives and where we want to get our energy and power. And therefore, it is right for us to seek the closure of this plant. You know, to win this, we will need the wisdom and the power of the folks who've been working on this for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and more. We need the power of the raging grannies. We also need the vision of the raging grannies' grandchildren. And I see here today, you know, as I salute all of you who've been working on this for many, many years, I want to recognize the new voices and the fresh faces that are here as well, because we need each one of you, even those that are this high, to win this fight. I was asked to say a couple words about how we got here today, and I'm not going to go through the 40 years of history. There are folks who had their hands raised, and you can talk to them about how we got here. But I do want to mention a couple of things. You know, it took a lot to get here, and there's, if you're actually interested, you can talk to those folks. And I also brought a copy of a book that was released just a month or so ago called Public Meltdown, the story of Vermont Yankee Nuclear Power Plant by Richard Watts. This actually tells a story of all of you, I think, the activists who really got us to where we are today and who made some incredible victories possible along the way. So if you're interested in that, Public Meltdown is an excellent source for information. But really, you know, how did we get here? I think it's about the conviction that we have that we are not going to settle for what people tell us is possible. You know, we're here because we don't make the decisions about the issues that we work on based on fear. We make a decision about what we want to do and how we're going to pursue it and the way that we want to live, and we don't let somebody tell us it's not possible for you to win. You're up against too powerful forces. They have too many lawyers, too many advocates, and too much money, and therefore you should give up and go home. And to that we say, no! That is one thing we say. Bob might say something else. But that is important because that's the conviction that we have, that we will not be told, no, you cannot win. No, you cannot succeed. You cannot take on these powerful forces. Instead, we say, just watch us go, watch us win. That's what we're going to do. You know, in Vermont, yeah, Entergy has a lot of money. There are a lot of special interests that we take on every day that have a lot of money. We still have the power of the people. It is an impressive force that I'm looking out on here today. And know that you are not alone, that there are folks who are live around the state and around surrounding states who care just as deeply and who are just as committed to the same success here that you are today. So I want to say, you know, as we move forward with this campaign, we asked some legislators some years ago to give themselves power over Vermont Yankee. Would you give yourself a voice in whether or not this plant should continue operating? And they did that. And when they voted to do that, I can tell you that very few of them ever thought that it would be a real question about whether they would vote to continue operating Vermont Yankee. It was signed by Governor Douglas, who was a pretty powerful cheerleader for Entergy and Vermont Yankee, and he never thought that it would be a serious question about whether the legislature would give a thumbs up or thumbs down. But we knew that if the legislature had to vote, that gave us an opportunity, because legislators are accountable to people, and we are people. And in that, we can distinguish ourselves from other entities that are not people. All right, so, you fast forward, and then it comes a time where Entergy did what Entergy does best. They started leaking and they started lying. And that didn't help their case with the legislature. And we had then the possibility to win. And what really made it possible in the end, in that February day, just after a blizzard, when the Senate was taking up this matter, what made it possible for us to be successful there was the leadership of some key allies in the legislature. I want to recognize Sarah Edwards in the House of Representatives. I also want to recognize Jeanette White, Senator Jeanette White, who's been a real champ on this issue. And of course, at that time, we had another senator from this area named Peter Shumlin. And Peter Shumlin talked to us and he said, you know what? I know people are saying it's not possible. At that time, we thought we might actually start over in the House of Representatives. He says, no, I want you to start in the Senate. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to work shoulder with shoulder with you to make sure that we win this fight. And on that February day, it was pretty damn impressive because not only did we win, but we had a bipartisan vote. Most Democrats, most Republicans, all voting 26-4 to say it is time to retire Vermont Yankee. It was one of the most amazing moments that I have experienced in 25 years or so of doing this work. The idea that we could win this kind of fight when they said it wasn't possible. The impossible sometimes can be done, and it can be done in places like Vermont, where people still listen to the citizens. Legislators still listen to their constituents. We still have legislators and administrations that have the courage to lead and do the right thing. Now, I want to tell you, it's not always possible for them because we really press them to make tough decisions and take on the tough campaigns. And whether it's on Vermont Yankee and the nuclear power plant, or taking on the pharmaceutical industry, the chemical industry, Monsanto, there are a number of campaigns that we work hard on, and we press our legislators to do the right thing. And I would tell you, in a place like this, when I talk to my colleagues around the country, we set ourselves apart because we have the possibility to win. We can make what we call a straight-faced argument to our legislators that you should take on these powerful interests and not worry about the people who say it can't be done. It's uplifting to be able to work with people like you, with people like Bob, with our colleagues across the state, and with our legislative leaders who, if they don't always agree with us at the beginning, we have the capacity to bring them around by the end. And that's what makes, I think, working in Vermont, working with all of you, really special. And this fight is not over. It continues, and it's a pleasure to be here today. Keep it up. Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Burns. (26-4). 26-4. Never forget those two numbers. That one vote made an enormous difference here in the state of Vermont. Before I introduce my next guest, I would like to ask if there is anybody here from the General Assembly or local elected officials. Would you just please kind of come up around the front area here if that's at all possible? I would like to, I'm not going to mention your names because I know I'm going to forget somebody, and that's just a death wish for me. Do we have other representatives or senators or anybody else that's here? All right. Senator Molly Burke, Sarah Edwards, Mike Murwicki, Jeanette White. This is why you're here. This is why you have a voice in Montpelier. How lucky are we to live in Vermont, eh? We don't have this kind of connection with our elected officials in practically any other state in this country. It's in Vermont where your local leaders will come to an event like this and be in the crowd. I know Bill Sorrell is here somewhere. I know Bernie Sanders is going to be here in a minute, and the governor's going to be here. They're coming here because of you. Our next guest, our next speaker is not from Vermont. But this fight doesn't just impact our state, and you know that. We are proud to stand with our neighboring states of New Hampshire and Massachusetts. And none have been more active in this fight than the state of Massachusetts. So please join me in welcoming Representative Paul Mark.
Hello, Vermont. How many people here from Massachusetts? All right. We're up here for a reason. We're up here because this affects us just as much as it affects Vermont. Right now, I'm going to read a statement from Franklin County State Senator Stan Rosenberg. Australian physicist and anti-nuclear activist Helen Caldicott, in her book Nuclear Madness, said this about nuclear power. Once presented, the facts will speak for themselves. Here are just a few quick facts about the Vermont Yankee reactor. Fact: this reactor leaks tritium into our water and soil. Fact: this reactor pumps 100+ degree water, far, far hotter than normal, into the Connecticut River, one of New England's most important waterways. Fact: in 2007, the cooling tower for this reactor collapsed. I got used to the booze, so I thought I had to pause. Fact: this reactor, despite having its license renewed until the year 2032, still cannot operate at full capacity because its systems are too old and frail to handle the strain. The bottom line is simply this: there is nothing about the Vermont Yankee facility, one of the oldest nuclear plants in the country, that inspires confidence. There are approximately 1.5 million people living within a 50-mile radius of this facility. Approximately 230,000 of them live just over the border in Franklin and Hampshire counties in Massachusetts, counties that I represent in the Massachusetts Senate. Should a truly catastrophic accident occur, all of these people would also be at serious risk. For that reason alone, voices from Massachusetts need to be heard, and many of those voices, mine including, are saying that Vermont Yankee is unfit, unreliable, and unwanted. Looking back to the late 1980s and early 90s, we confronted similar issues with the Yankee Row facility. Then, like now, serious concerns were raised about public safety. Then, elected officials, including myself as a member of the Massachusetts House of Representatives, demanded a stem to stern review of the Yankee Row reactor. A number of serious deficiencies were identified through the process, and the tremendous potential costs of those repairs are ultimately what led to Yankee Row shutting down. That same thorough review, known as an independent safety assessment, must be conducted here. Dr. Caldicott once compared boiling water with a nuclear reactor in order to generate electricity to cutting butter with a chainsaw. If the Vermont Yankee reactor is like a chainsaw, it not only couldn't cut butter, it can't even cut the mustard. I didn't write this. We must have an independent safety assessment now. Far too many unanswered questions remain about this reactor, and we deserve to know the truth. And I'm also going to read a statement from select board members from your neighbors down in Franklin County. As elected officials of Massachusetts town government, select board members have overall responsibility to protect the health and safety of residents. Every act we take as the representative of our towns is guided by that basic fact. We regard the federal effort to preempt action on our part in relation to the environmental dangers of nuclear power as an infringement of local government. The federal efforts at preemption also violate fundamental states' rights. The federal interference with local and state government, in turn, interferes with regional collaboration among local and state officials to address the environmental dangers of nuclear power. Legal jurisdictions are defined by boundaries that nuclear radiation does not recognize. As the highest elected officials of local government, we have a mandate to reach regional solutions to regional problems. The federal preemption is an impediment to rational regional government action. We are the first responders, and we want that leaky plant shut down. Thank you very much.
Representative Paul Mark.
Listen, damn it.
Oh, man.
We bought this town. Your little punk Sorrell, he was never supposed to appeal. That socialist Sanders against anything profitable or American. Your little Sherman has been fighting us for years, but they can't stop us, and you can't budge us. Hey, listen, you people are supposed to be nonviolent, huh? Hey, get up. Who is this tough guy?
God, get that guy out of here. Put your hands together for Fennebo.
Welcome, brothers and sisters. We continue to celebrate the music of a man in Africa who took on the entire military-industrial complex in Nigeria, and all the corruption that he spoke of is still very relevant today. This is a song about choice and what happens when you give up choice. The great George Clinton said, "Think, it ain't illegal yet." This song is called Zombie. But that's what happens when you give up your choice, your power to choose. People, don't lose that power. No one saw this writing on the wall. This generation will not be the guinea pigs. This profit motive has cost them the judgment. And now, we want to redeem this toxicity. We are not zombies. zombie. Zombie, oh, zombie. Zombie no go press hotel out to go. Zombie no go stop unless hotel out to stop. Zombie no go turn unless hotel out to turn. Zombie no go think unless hotel out to think. Zombie, oh, zombie. Zombie, oh, zombie. Zombie no go go unless hotel out to go. Zombie no go stop unless hotel out to stop. Zombie no go turn unless hotel out to turn. Zombie no go think unless hotel out to think. Zombie, oh, zombie. Zombie, oh, zombie. Tell him to go straight. Joro, jara, joro. No break, no job, no sense. Joro, jara, joro. Tell him to go kill. Joro, jara, joro. No break, no job, no sense. Joro, jara, joro. Tell him to go quench. Joro, jara, joro. No break, no job, no sense. Joro, jara, joro. Go and kill. Go and die. Go and quench. Do that for reverse. Go and quench. Go and kill. Go and die. Do that for reverse. Go and die. Go and quench. Go and kill. Do that for reverse. Joro, jara, joro. Zombie way now one way. Joro, jara, joro. Zombie way now one way. Joro, jara, joro. Zombie way now one way. Joro, jara, joro. Attention, quick match, slow match, left turn, right turn, about turn, double time, salute, open your back, enemies, fall in, fall out, fall down, get ready. Attention, quick match, slow match, left turn, right turn, about turn, double time, salute, open your back, enemies, fall in, fall out, fall down, get ready. Halt! Order! Attention! Quick match, slow match, left turn, right turn, one turn, double time, salute, open your back, enemies, fall in, fall out, fall down, get ready. Attention! Quick match, slow match, left turn, right turn, about turn, double time, salute, open your back, enemies, fall in, fall out, fall down, get ready. Halt! Order! Attention! Quick match, slow match, left turn, right turn, about turn, double time, salute, open your back, enemies, fall in, fall out, fall down, get ready. Attention! Quick match, slow match, left turn, right turn, about turn, double time, salute, open your back, enemies, fall in, fall out, fall down, get ready. Halt! Is that so? I don't believe you, Georgie.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Are you okay if they play one more song? I just thought I'd check. It's not on the schedule, you know what I mean? Go for it.
Well, thank you. Thank you. This is the lovely Libby standing here. She's going to lead on this next song.
This is a song about finding your road, and more importantly, staying on it. And this is a song about what happens when you miss your road, when you miss your path, and how you cause a lot of harm, not just to yourself, but to others. So find your road. Don't miss your road.
Yeah, don't stop. Y'all sound great.
Ladies and gentlemen, Finnebo. Keep moving it down. You keep moving it up. Can I move it down a little bit? Before I introduce our next guest, I'd like to take a minute to announce the Solar Rollers are an anti-nuke bicycle group formed to ride to Seabrook in 1978. Their first stop was the Vermont Yankee nuke plant, and they've been working to shut it down ever since. Later this spring, the Solar Rollers will ride again for their 34th anniversary tour. They'll be traveling through all 14 counties in Vermont, talking to citizens along the way at potluck gatherings through local media and handing out informational flyers about the campaign to close VY. The Solar Rollers peddle what they preach. Turn on the sun, turn off the nuke. They'll bring that message to every corner in the state of Vermont this spring. We need informed citizens of the entire state behind us when we shut down Vermont Yankee, and the Solar Rollers need your help to reach them. So get on a bike, join the Solar Rollers, or make a donation to their outreach tour. You can see them in the northeast corner here on the Commons. All right. It is, whoops. Hang on, we got it. Hang on, there we go. When we think of the word fighter, our next speaker comes to mind. He has taken on major corporations on your behalf, including but not limited to the tobacco companies. Through that effort, he has won judgments of over $40 million per year that will carry on over $20 million in perpetuity for the state of Vermont. If we'd had a judge who had understood the legislative process, this man would not be forced to have filed an appeal against Entergy. Some in Vermont did not want Bill Sorrell to appeal the case and instead just fade away quietly. But Bill Sorrell is a fighter. He is not a quitter. Bill Sorrell is a man who will stand up for you in a court of law. Bill Sorrell is Vermont's Attorney General. Please welcome Bill Sorrell.
Thank you so much. I've met so many great people today. I'm so happy to be here with you. It's great to be in Brattleboro supporting Vermont and defending democracy. But does democracy need defending? You bet it does. Democracy's in trouble. And you know a major reason why democracy's in trouble? Because about 2 years ago, 5 of the 9 members of our U.S. Supreme Court, 5 conservative justices of the U.S. Supreme Court, ruled, changing over 200 years of law in this country. And they ruled that corporations have the same rights that all of us enjoy as individuals. Yeah, maybe you didn't know this until the Supreme Court, these 5 justices so ruled. Corporations are persons. under our law. Is this a big deal? This is a really big deal, because when corporations are persons, then government of, by, and for the people is in trouble. So, you know, it's really a shame that we need to amend our Constitution to go back to the law that's been the case since our country began. But if that's what we need to do, that's what we should do. Let's amend the Constitution. But for now, corporations are persons under our law. So what's been happening since corporations began or redeemed persons? Well, we're seeing huge expenditures of money. We're seeing that our voices as people are being drowned out by the voices of wealthy corporate persons. That's not right. We shouldn't stand for that. We really can't stand for that. We won't stand for that. You know, as for me, I like persons I can trust. I don't much care for persons who provide misleading information. I like persons who, when they agree to do something, they follow through. They do what they say they're going to do. Those are the kind of persons I want to have around me. My guess is you feel much the same way, that we prefer the same kinds of persons, trustworthy, reliable persons. Well, I'm here to tell you that there's a very, very wealthy person from Louisiana who happens to own a nuclear power plant that's not too far away from here. I think you know the person I'm talking about. What do you think of that person? So we've talked about defending democracy. Let's talk about supporting Vermont for a second. This same wealthy, powerful Louisianan repeatedly said, not once, but repeatedly said, in writing and otherwise, I like Vermont law. Vermont law gives Vermonters a real say about the future of my plant. I won't challenge that law. Trust me, I won't challenge Vermont law. I accept it. But guess what? As Paul and Bob have said, when that person from Louisiana didn't get its way, and when 26 out of all 30 Vermont state senators said no, what did that person from Louisiana do? Support Vermont? No. Defend democracy? No. No, you know the answer. They turned around, they sued the state, and they spent over $4.5 million in legal fees just at the trial level, attacking the very Vermont laws that they agreed they would not attack. Okay, sorry to talk a little bit of bad news. We had a setback in the trial court. It was a setback. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But is the fight over? No! Is the glass half empty? No! Or have we just begun to fight? Yes! I'm here to tell you, to reassure you, that this was only round one. Only round one. We need the kind of energy that's here today, because this could be a really, really long fight. But if Bob Stannard's remarks didn't make it clear before, let me hear and say to you, look you in the eye and say personally, I'm up for this fight. I'm going to support Vermont. I'm going to defend democracy. I'm going to do all I can for us in Vermont to get what we deserve, and that is a real say about our energy future. And do you know what I want to be able to say someday to a certain person I've talked about a little bit in these remarks? Someday I want to be able to say to that rich person from Louisiana, thanks, but no thanks. I need your help, I need your support, and then maybe sometime down the road, maybe in a long time, whatever it takes, we can all say to that rich Louisianan, thanks, but no thanks. Thank you all very, very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Sorrell. Our next guest needs no introduction, but he's going to get one anyways. Bernie Sanders served as mayor of Burlington, Vermont. He served in Congress. He is now the junior senator. With Senator Leahy and Congressman Peter Welch, Vermont has the best damn representation in the United States of America. Bernie Sanders is Vermont's U.S. Senator. Bernie Sanders is America's Senator. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Bernie Sanders.
Whoa! Whoa! This is great. I've got to be back in Washington on Monday. I much prefer being here. It's a great turnout. And let me begin by thanking Bob and all of those who organized this event, thanking all of you for being here today. What we are talking about and what many of you are working on is one of the great struggles of our time, not only here in Vermont, all over America, all over the world, and that is to create an energy future which protects not only our generation, but a safe energy future for our kids and our grandchildren. That's what we're talking about. And clearly within Vermont, what we are demanding is justice. We are demanding justice for an agreement that was signed 40 years ago. And when a major corporation signs an agreement with the state of Vermont that at the end of 40 years it's going to shut down, Entergy has got to honor that agreement. Shut it down. What we are talking about today is not only the future or hopefully the lack of future for Vermont Yankee, but what we are also talking about in a very profound way is the need to transform our energy system away from nuclear power, away from fossil fuel, into energy efficiency and into sustainable energy. And the role in that struggle of transforming our energy system, a struggle that we are all involved in, is a struggle in which Vermont can lead the nation and America can lead the world. That's what we're doing here. There are a number of issues involved with what we are discussing today, but clearly safety is a major issue, and I don't have to remind anybody here what happened a year ago, March, in Fukushima, Japan, when an earthquake combined with a tsunami knocked out power and back out power at that nuclear plant, leading to a meltdown at 3 of the 6 reactors. 100,000 people were forced to evacuate, many of whom may never return to their homes. And let us also remember that the Fukushima disaster not only disrupted millions of lives in Japan, but it impacted their entire economy and to some degree, in fact, the world's economy. The lesson to be learned from Fukushima is very, very simple. And that is, when you are dealing with nuclear power, 99.9% is not good enough. When you're dealing with nuclear power, you have got to remember that every disaster, every occurrence was unthinkable until it happened. So our job is to make sure that those disasters never happen by phasing out nuclear power in America. I am a member, as some of you may know, I'm a member of the Senate Energy Committee, which has oversight regulation over the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. So let me say a brief word about the NRC. There have been 71 instances in which companies went to the NRC to ask for an extension of licenses to operate nuclear power plants on 71 occasions. And on 71 occasions, the NRC said yes. Something wrong in that picture. This is the same NRC that the Associated Press in a recent article stated, and I quote, has been working closely with the nuclear power industry to keep the nation's aging reactors operating within safety standards by repeatedly weakening those standards or simply failing to enforce them, end of quote. That is the same NRC that by a secret 3-2 vote recommended and urged the Department of Justice to intervene in the Vermont Entergy case on the side of Entergy. That would have been an obscenity, and I'm glad we kept the DOJ out of that case. Now, in Vermont, we look at the world a little bit different than the NRC does. And I am happy to say that our legislature looks at the world a little bit differently. As all of you know, the legislature asserted their legal authority to make an independent determination of whether or not Yankee should be allowed to continue to operate. And the Vermont Senate spoke strongly, decisively, in a 26-4 bipartisan vote that the contract with Vermont Yankee should not be extended. Thank you, Vermont Senate. And let me say a word to some of the people who disagree with us about the future of Vermont Yankee. One of the issues that keeps appearing, and it is a legitimate issue, is about the issue of decent paying jobs which currently exist. It's a real issue. We are in a recession and all of us want to protect decent paying jobs. So what I'm saying to Entergy is that the day after that plant is shut down, let's begin the decommissioning process. Let's give top priority to those workers at the plant today. And if we do that, there will be years of decent paying jobs for many of those workers. You heard a moment ago from the Attorney General about some of the legal aspects of the case between Vermont and Entergy. Let me just say this. The law really is quite clear on this issue. And what the law says is that the federal government through the NRC has the responsibility, and it's a very important responsibility, to make sure that nuclear power plants in this country are as safe as possible. That is the function of the NRC. The NRC is not supposed to be an advocate for nuclear power. The NRC is not supposed to be an ally of the nuclear power industry. And what the Supreme Court, the old Supreme Court, stated back in 1983 is pretty clear. And what they said, let me just read you one paragraph from that decision. In terms of states' rights, what they said is, and I quote, "The legal reality remains that Congress has left sufficient authority in the states to allow the development of nuclear power to be slowed or even stopped for economic reasons." End of quote. In other words, the law is quite clear to my mind that above and beyond safety, for economic reasons or other reasons, if the people of Vermont or any other state say that they believe their future is not with nuclear power, they have the right to shut those plants down. Let me be very clear. In my view, the federal district court that decided the Entergy versus Vermont litigation made a decision that was wrong on the merits. The court said Vermont's legislature was focused on safety and did not have the right to make its own determination about Yankee. But we all know, and the Vermont state legislature knows, there are a number of reasons above and beyond the safety issue that makes it legally right for the Vermont state legislature to act and to shut down nuclear power. And there are a number of reasons. Let me just touch on a few. For example, one could argue that Vermont Yankee is simply not reliable. After all, it did suffer cooling tower problems in 2007 and 2008, including a cooling tower collapse, reducing output at the plant for several weeks. This accident cost Vermont utilities over $6 million when they had to go out and buy higher priced electricity. And in fact, those utilities are now suing Entergy to recover their money. So reliability is an important issue. Furthermore, one could argue that Vermont Yankee is simply not economical. In fact, Vermont's largest utilities rejected contract offers from Entergy because they found energy providers that were providing electricity at a lower cost. The Vermont Electric Cooperatives Board voted 9-1 against renewing a contract with Yankee. One could further argue that Entergy is simply not a trustworthy business partner. When a company testifies falsely under oath to the Vermont legislature, as Entergy did, that your plant does not have underground pipes, and it turns out that you do, in fact, have those pipes, and that they are leaking radioactive tritium, you have a trust problem. And let us all remember that even the previous governor's commissioner at the Department of Public Service, who supported Vermont Yankee, publicly questioned the trustworthiness of Entergy as a business partner for the state of Vermont. These are just a few of the legitimate non-safety issues regarding Yankee, which make it very clear to me that the state of Vermont does have the legal right not to extend Vermont's contract under federal law. But above and beyond all of that, I don't know about you, but I have a serious problem when this nuclear plant and nuclear plants all over this country produce extraordinarily dangerous radioactive and toxic waste every single day, and they still don't know how to get rid of that waste in a permanent and safe way. It is irresponsible to continue producing that waste. I want to take a moment to talk about an issue that is very, very rarely discussed, but it is very important. And that's not just about Vermont Yankee, but it's about the nuclear power industry in general. And the point that I'm going to make is especially important when, as many of you know, virtually all of the Republicans in Congress, and unfortunately many Democrats as well, want to see the United States undergo a quote-unquote nuclear renaissance. And what they're talking about is the construction of at least 100 new nuclear power plants. So here's the point to be made when you turn on the TV tonight and you're going to hear some of my conservative friends rant and rave about the big bad federal government. Get the government off of the backs of the business community. Let the genius of free enterprise do what it wants to do. You hear that all the time? Well, let me tell you, if it wasn't for the fact that the nuclear power industry is one of the major welfare recipients from the federal government, it would be shut down tomorrow. A lot of people don't know that. They don't know that nuclear power for the last 60 years and into the indefinite future, if we don't change it, is one of the major welfare recipients of taxpayer support in the United States of America. The nuclear power industry has received over the years $95 billion in federal funds for research and development, and right now we are struggling to renew relatively modest programs for wind, solar, geothermal, and biomass, which is opposed by the big money interest in Washington. $95 billion in research and development alone for nuclear power. The nuclear power industry, and many of you may not know this, is the beneficiary of a very, very expensive insurance program supported by the taxpayers of this country called the Price-Anderson legislation. You all know what Price-Anderson is? What Price-Anderson is that if, God forbid, there is a major nuclear disaster in this country, which ends up costing hundreds of billions of dollars or tens of billions of dollars, do you know who's going to pick up most of the cost for that? The taxpayers of the United States of America. And what makes these federal subsidies even more distasteful is, as many of you know, the nuclear industry is controlled by a handful of large multinational corporations, just two of them. Exelon and Entergy control about a third of the nuclear industry in our country. So what I say to my friends who want more nuclear power, if you think it is such a great idea, why don't you go to Wall Street and the insurance companies and get them to invest in nuclear power? And do you know why? Do you know why they are not going to Wall Street and the insurance companies to get them to invest in nuclear power? Because Wall Street and the insurance companies are smart. They know that nuclear power is extremely risky. It is not a good investment, and they prefer to have the taxpayers of this country undertake those responsibilities. So let me conclude by just saying this. In my view, and I think in the view of the vast majority of the people of our state, we understand the absolute necessity of, for Vermont, for America, and for the world, transforming our energy system away from nuclear power and away from fossil fuel. I think we understand that when you look at safety issues, when you look at reliability issues, when you look at cost issues, where we should be investing is in energy efficiency. Vermont is leading the country, but we can and must do better. We should be investing in wind, solar, geothermal, and biomass. And when you do those things, we are going to be creating jobs right here in the United States of America. We are going to be breaking our dependence on foreign oil, and we're going to be lowering the cost of energy for the American people. My sincere hope, and I honestly believe that we can do this, is that in Vermont, if we shut down Vermont Yankee, if we move to energy efficiency, if we are aggressive about wind, solar, geothermal, biomass, and other emerging sustainable technologies, this small state can lead America in a new energy direction and lead the world in that direction. Thank you all very much.
Let's hear it. How proud are you to be a Vermonter today? For the past 10 years, Sarah Edwards has served Brattleboro as a state representative with honor and distinction. She is recognized as an expert on nuclear issues in the House Natural Resources Committee, where she currently serves. If you are considering taking on Sarah Edwards, you darn well better be prepared for a big fight, because she is beyond a doubt one of the best in the business. Sadly, Sarah has informed us that she will not be seeking re-election. She will be missed. She has made her mark on the state of Vermont. Introducing the governor of the state of Vermont, please give it up for Representative Sarah Edwards.
Welcome to all our guests from around the region, from Massachusetts and New Hampshire, and we are so happy to have you in with us in this coalition. Couldn't do it without you. One thing I'd just like to tell you, someone just told me a quote, and John Rowe, who is the head honcho at Exelon, quoted in Forbes magazine just last week, said, "There is no future for nuclear in the United States of America." This is one of the largest, he is the largest corporation, so that is good news. However, I have the great honor of introducing someone who has been an outspoken advocate when he was a member of the Putney Select Board. He was an outspoken advocate when he served in the House in Vermont. As president of the Vermont State Senate, he led the body to a historic vote to close this plant. As governor, he has been our friend and ally in the fight to close VY. In fact, his support has never waned. His commitment has never wavered. So please join me in thanking Governor Peter Shumlin for all that he has done on our behalf, and welcome him back to Windham County.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Windham County. Great to be home. Thank you, Senator Sanders, Attorney General Sorrell, Senator Jeanette White, the best senator there, and all of you. Today you make Vermont proud. Thank you for standing up for democracy. Thank you for standing up to Entergy, Louisiana. Thank you for standing up for clean energy and a bright energy future that does not include an aging, leaking nuclear power plant that we're going to retire on schedule with your help. You know, they're trying a new tactic on me from Entergy, Louisiana. They showed up on my porch a few nights ago. That's right. They were dressed up as black bears. So I want you all to beware. There's nothing they won't try. And this is what they learned. Real Vermont boys don't wear pajamas. Am I wrong about that? Oh. The reason that you're being here today on this sunny April climate change kind of day is that without you, we will not succeed in beating the corporate powers of Louisiana against the people of the state of Vermont. That's why your presence here is so important. Now I ask you this. How many of you have a driver's license from the state of Vermont? Raise your hand. Look at that. And I ask, how many of you would drive with that license if your Vermont license was expired? None of you. Teach that to our friends in Louisiana, and we'll be there. We'll be there together. You know, as a kid who was born and raised in this county, who hosts the only nuclear power plant in the state, I think it's worth remembering where we are on this day in 2012. Several days after it was promised that the plant would be closed on schedule, meeting its design life. The first promise that was made by Energy Louisiana when they bought the plant was that it would be shut down on schedule in March of 2012. Somehow, that doesn't seem to be true. The second promise that was made by Energy Louisiana was that they'd run the plant as they bought it. But the first thing they did once they got ownership was to pump 20% more juice through it than it was designed to generate. They told us they'd keep it the way it was. It didn't happen that way. Again, it didn't seem that their word was true. The third promise that was made when they bought the plant was that there was so much money in a decommissioning fund to meet the promise of taking away on schedule when it shut down, that they didn't need to put any more money in. Turns out that wasn't true. The fourth promise that was made was that they would be the owners of the plant until it shut down in 2012. Turns out, with the advent and invention of SpinCo, the company that made AIG and Bear Stearns look like a sound Wall Street proposal, that they were going to spin us off to a highly leveraged Wall Street dream, leave us with the carcasses of the old plants across America, take the loot and run. So their promise that they'd be the owners of the plant, turns out that wasn't true. The fifth promise that was made was that they'd report to us when things went wrong. But when the cooling towers collapsed, you might remember the press release they issued. There was a small leak at one of the cooling towers. Several days later, a photograph was produced. Turns out what they said wasn't true. The sixth thing they told us, under oath, after swearing under oath, was that the plant magically had no underground pipes carrying nuclear waste. Turns out, a year later, when they started to leak, that wasn't true. The seventh promise they made to Vermonters was that with their great stewardship, we'd get cheap power. Turns out, as Senator Sanders just pointed out, that wasn't true. The eighth promise made by Energy Louisiana to Vermonters was that they would abide by our laws of the great state of Vermont. Turns out that wasn't true. The ninth promise that was made by Energy Louisiana was that they would abide by the memorandum of understanding that they signed under oath with the Public Service Board, agreeing to comply with Act 160 and agreeing to comply with the vote of the legislature, yes or no, about whether their continued operation was in the best interests of Vermont. They supported the bill, they supported the legislative vote, until suddenly it didn't look like it might go their way. And suddenly, that wasn't true. And finally, as I don't need to tell you, they have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to convince Vermonters on television with slick Wall Street ads that if we keep the plant running, we're going to have cheap power for as long as the eye can see. It was a surprise to many Vermonters that even their advertising campaign was not true. So I say 10 times, 10 untruths in a state where Vermonters value the truth more than any other state in the nation. You're here today to stand up for truth, to stand up for Vermont, to stand up for our democracy, to stand up for harnessing the wind and the sun and our streams and our wood, forests and our fields, to stand up for a renewable energy future, to stand up for a Vermont where your kids and my kids know two things. That if you do business with Vermont, you keep your word. And second, that we have a bright jobs future, a bright economic future, by showing the rest of the nation how you get off our addiction to oil, stop spending dollars to countries that mostly don't like us, use less resource, not more, go to small community-generated green power, and say to the aging nuclear industry in America, including in Vermont, shut them down, go home, tell the truth, we're moving on, we're moving out, you go first, we're not going to rest until you're gone, decommissioned, and returned to a green field. Go Windham County, go nuclear, anti-nuclear, we're going to get there together. Thank you so much for your being here today. Together we shall overcome.
Your Governor, Peter Shumlin. We aren't done. We aren't done. Big round of applause for Bernie Sanders, Bill Sorrell, and Governor Peter Shumlin. In the summer of 2007, I met Deb Katz from the Citizens Awareness Network. She was trying to convince me to leave a cushy job I had and to go back into lobbying, which I'd retired from. I said, what would you like me to do? She says, shut down a nuclear power plant. I said, what happened? Has world hunger been taken? I said, you have a 0 to 3% chance of doing this. And she said, if we don't hire you, it's 0. There are few people in my life that I have met that are more tenacious than Deb Katz, the Executive Director of Citizens Awareness Network. Put your hands together for Deb Katz.
All right. You look great. You look fantastic out there. What a beautiful sight you are. We have come so far. We've accomplished so much since Act 160 became law in 2006. From the Vermont Senate vote in 2010, Entergy's inability to get a revote in 2011, to Entergy taking the state to court, claiming a preemptive fiction to justify its breaking its contracts with the state of Vermont. With all Entergy's multi-million-dollar campaigns to show how great they are and how good they are, the latest being VY for VT, the state has remained unmoved. And the people have remained unmoved. With Entergy's endless and repeated lawsuits and injunctions dragging the state to court every time they haven't gotten their way, the governor, the Vermont Public Service Board, and the Attorney General remain resolute in upholding Vermont's right not only to determine its energy future, but what kind of corporation is allowed to operate in the state of Vermont. In March, the Public Service Board rejected all of Entergy's requests for an immediate certificate of public good to continue to operate. And the board has set a new hearing, which we hope will determine not just the future of Vermont Yankee, but will hold Entergy accountable for its endless misleading testimony, endless leaks, and misrepresentation. This is democracy in action. It is remarkable that the people of Vermont find themselves in their state with their state and its representatives on their side and representing their interests. It may be hard for citizens to comprehend that democracy is working in Vermont. In fact, democracy working in Vermont affects not just Vermont, but the tri-state community and beyond. But the truth is, for all of what our legislators and our officials have done, we could not have done this without you. Vermont and its public officials are not operating in a vacuum. It is the will of the people that prevailed and continues to prevail. It is the door knocking, the phone calling, the letter writing, the town referendums and resolutions, the marches and rallies and lawsuits, people's energy and time committed to shutting Vermont Yankee and creating a sustainable energy future that has made these successes possible. But we are not done. With all we've done, with the state representing our interests, with democracy working, we have yet to reach our goal. Vermont Yankee's closure, the rapid and responsible cleanup of the reactor, and an energy legacy we can be proud of. We are closer than ever, but we are not there yet. This is a moment where, to change the course of history, we must be resolute. We must recognize that our work to close Vermont Yankee and support the state again and again in its efforts are essential. It would be easy, even understandable, for people to despair at this moment. To despair that this rogue corporation will remain shielded from Vermont authority by the federal government. For Vermont to prevail, we must remain engaged. The power of the state now rests with the Public Service Board. And the power of the state also rests in the hands of the people. We urge you to contact the board, to attend hearings, and stay involved. The issue of corporate malfeasance and Vermont Yankees closure must remain alive to the state, to the legislature, but also to the people. Entergy would like us to forget its systemic mismanagement, its leaks, its lies, and its arrogance. It is our job to ensure that the state does not forget its responsibility to hold this corporation accountable. And it is our job not to just thank the governor of Vermont, its attorney general, and its legislators. It is our job to continue to hold them accountable, to work as hard as they can to make Entergy's existence in the state as unwelcome as possible. We must remain vigilant and engaged. Entergy must be held accountable. A bad corporation must be accountable for its bad acts. The legislature this year doubled Entergy's rates for its thermal pollution. That pollution and that dumping in the Connecticut River must stop. And it is the work of the legislature to make that happen. And we will not be satisfied with less than that. We've already replaced Vermont Yankee with cheaper energy without the lights dimming. Can you believe it? With all the fear-mongering that we couldn't exist without that power, we are doing just fine. Now we need to ensure that future power allows Vermont and the tri-state community to be independent and sustainable. We must prepare for the future by educating people to envision a bridge to energy independence and sustainability, and engage in a reasoned debate about future generating sources to undermine the fear-based campaigns of Entergy and its cohorts. We must hold rally upon rally, march upon march, action upon action, make phone call upon phone call, write letter upon letter, until this rogue corporation ceases operation and responsibly cleans up its radioactive dump. I'm asking you to join us. Commit to a clean energy future, to the good riddance of an arrogant corporation that believes it is more powerful than a state and its people. We can close Vermont Yankee. We will close Vermont Yankee. It will take all of us to close Vermont Yankee. Thank you.
Dead cats. In closing, I just have a couple of things I'd like to say. You'll see these people walking around with buckets. Please, put $1, put $5, put $10, whatever you can afford. There's Randy right there's got a bucket. There's people with buckets. Please help defray the cost of this great event today. Also, if there's anybody here that could stick around and help break down for the sound, these guys could use a couple of hands. That would be greatly appreciated. There will be many other events planned around the state of Vermont, so go visit the tables, understand what's happening, and see what's coming up next. We have also found a pair of glasses, and they'll be up here by the sound stage, and up here by the sound man. And please pick up your garbage. My name is Bob Stannard. I want to thank you all for coming out today. This has been a fabulous event. Thank you to Bill Sorrell. Thank you to Bernie Sanders. Thank you, Peter Shumlin. But most importantly, thank you to each and every one of you for coming out today. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, one more time, feel free to dance to Pinnable.
We're Pinnables, and we're very grateful and very proud to be part of this event today. Thank you for asking us. Thank you for coming out. The song is called No Agreement. No Agreement. No Agreement. We're Finnable. How about a hand for Klondike Sound? Here all day long. If you like what you heard, you can find us on the interwebs, finnable.com. You can find us on Facebook. We're playing next Saturday night right here in downtown Brattleboro. Have a great day. Thank you for coming out.
F-E-N-I-B-O.
Shut it down.
Hey, wonderful.
Thank you for supporting us. Yeah.
Tell me your name again. Linda.
I played the accordion for the Cajun.
No agreement today, no agreement tomorrow.
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 Don't agree, make my brother hungry. I don't talk. I don't agree, make my brother homeless. I don't talk. My grandmama talk, your grandmama talk. My papa talk, your papa talk. My mama talk, your mama talk. Those will talk, they go say, agree, make my brother hungry. They got no talk. I don't agree, make my brother homeless. I don't talk. No agreement today, no agreement tomorrow.
No agreement today, no agreement tomorrow.
No agreement now, later, forever, ever.
No agreement today, no agreement tomorrow.
No agreement never, no agreement ever.
No agreement today, no agreement tomorrow.
No agreement today, no agreement